told we're pseudo-archaeologists. We're tired of being told that we're pseudo-scientists. What difference does it make whether I'm a Christian, Jew, Muslim, or a heathen? If I have this artifact and I take a sample and I stick it into the machine, that machine could care less what I believe, what my worldview is. It spits out the data, and that's what we're showing. If the C14 data didn't come back 800 years, okay, let's all go home. It comes back 800 years. That's pre-Columbian, pre-Columbian, and the haplogroup, the mitochondrial DNA coming from the mother side of the equation, shows that it's Eastern European. It rewrites history. But the real archaeologists and the real scientists and the Darwinists don't like that because you have to change the history books. Right. You have to rewrite history. And the problem is in archaeology, you've got two schools of thought. You've got isolationists and diffusionists. Isolationists believe nobody does anything. We all sit here for thousands of years. Maybe we move a mile this way or a mile that way. Diffusionists go, nonsense. There's a river. I'm a 16-year-old Native American living in somewhere in the Midwest, and there's a river, and I'm not going to make a canoe and go down that thing and see where it goes. I'll be back in a month. Right? Yeah. Wouldn't you? Seriously?
Isn't the Smithsonian known for the isolationists, like where they believe Native Americans were just so separated? But in fact, they could have been...
They traded,
to even potentially worldwide.
It is worldwide.
Yeah,
it is worldwide.
That's rad.
We look at the Göbekli Tepe. That's the simple as we're not touching it. It's why not? Yeah, it's the oldest civilization, sign of civilization of all time, apparently. And it's and we're not digging down deep and figuring out what this actually is.
Really stupid. And the leapfrog from Göbekli Tepe to Egypt. I interviewed the two scientists who came up with the findings with the satellites going over, multiple passes, two different satellites, and there's something underneath the Giza
plateau. You
plateau.
interviewed those guys?
Yeah, I interviewed them. And I've interviewed them twice, actually, and we're in communication. The bottom line is they don't want that because it blows Zawi Hawass, pyramid, right out of the water, right? All of a sudden, Mr. Hawass has got to do a major backpedal. And he doesn't want to do that. It rewrites history. They don't want to rewrite history. If that holds up, and it's holding up, I believe it's pre-flood. It happened around the Younger Dryas period, about 12,000 years ago. And I get it. The biblical literate, 6,000 years old, and I'm not moving from this. Okay, fine. But what if it's older? What if after the flood, at the time as we know it kind of changed? So, Mr. Unger, with all due respect to you, sir, it's a little older because we've got places like Göbekli Tepe. And here's something to think about. This will blow you away because it blows me away just even talking about it. All these sites are abandoned. And they're covered over. Yeah. And no one knows why or who or anything else. They're covered over.
What's your theory on that?
It's deliberate. It's part of the war. I got chills. It's part of the war.
What war?
The war between good and evil. No, between the fallen ones, the dragon, and the Most High God.
Wow.
Yeah. And wherever you go, it's the same story. You can go at any site. Well, we're here at Teotihuacan, Mexico, and we really don't know what these people call themselves, but we're going to call them the Teotihuacanos. We don't know who built this, but we believe that due to famine and climate change, you'll hear that all over. Due to climate change, the Teotihuacanos abandoned the site and assimilated into the indigenous population. You never hear that. You never hear a peep from the indigenous population. We have no record of that. Same thing in Ohio. Wherever I go, it's the same story. The oldest city in the Americas, it's in the book. It's a place called Corral. It's 5,000 years old, maybe 6,000 years old. It's got pyramids. It's got a leveled plaza. It's got steles. It's got a place that looks exactly like Chaco Canyon. It looks like a kiva. Oh, you're not allowed. When I was there, you can't go up there. You can't go see that.
Where's it located?
It's in Peru, about three hours north of Lima. It's unbelievable. And it's the oldest city in the Americas. There's no pre-existing culture. And this whole thing just goes poink, and it's there. And no one knows who they were or where they came from. And there's ritualistic sacrifice, human sacrifice done on the site. And you'll see that no matter where you go. Yeah. It's always the same thing.
Yeah. That's
crazy, isn't it?
So fun.
You said about 50 words I didn't understand, but
I'm sorry.
I'm connecting the dots. So.
Yeah, I'm using a lot of context clues right now. There's,
You're doing great with it. We were told to ask you about bovine blood. Not, it was Tony.
Yeah.
Tony's
okay,
like,
Tony Merkel, right.
Yeah, he's just like, just ask him about bovine blood. I'm like, I mean, that's a weird thing to ask anybody.
Yeah, I tell you right now, boys, you got yourself a cow over here, and that cow's got bovine blood. That's what he is. He's a cow. I don't know where this accent's coming from, but I'm running with it. So here's the deal. People are being taken. They're being abducted. We have 10 films on the UFO phenomena. One of them is on the abduction phenomena, where people were taken. Sperm is taken from the men. Ovum is taken from the women. Sometimes women are groomed. We published a book on this, Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest, by Karen Wilkinson. They're taken, they're abducted, and they're impregnated. But it's not a human seed. And that seed that's in them begins to grow. And on the 3rd month of pregnancy, right around that time, they're re-abducted, and that hybrid entity is removed, and there's never a trace. Never a trace. How is that done? But that entity needs to live somewhere in order to grow into fruition, right? That little baby, a little entity, hybrid baby, needs to go into an artificial womb.
Incubate.
That's what I was looking for. So most people don't know this. Bovine blood can be used in a human transfusion. They're interchangeable. So let's say they ran out of your blood type, they can use bovine blood from a cow. Cattle mutilations have been going on forever, for decades. They take the parts from the cow. They take the sexual organs, sometimes organs around the eye, the ear, the tongue. They take all this. This is conjecture, but it's based on decades of research. They are creating artificial wombs for these hybrid babies to go into. Artificial wombs, bovine blood, all the parts of the cow, artificial wombs. And in our film on this, on cattle mutilations, we actually show in 2024, Japanese were creating artificial wombs.
Yeah, we actually just talked about it yesterday. China is making breakthroughs with artificial wombs.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's not, and then you take all that. L.A., what does this have to do with the Bible? I'm not seeing any salvation message here at all, L.A. And, we can talk about that, but this is the deep end of the pool. Salvation is way over here. Salvation is when we, okay, Lord, I'm a sinner. Come into my life. I believe that you rose from the dead. That's it. I'm in. This is the deep end of the pool. Daniel 2:43 says, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Whose seed? Whose seed are we talking about? And that book of Daniel is sealed up until the time of the end. It's sealed up. No one will understand it, but we understand it now. Whose seed are we talking about? Their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave. The word cleave comes, I got this from my friend Jim Williamson, it's a marriage contract, no marriage contract, which is exactly what we see with the current abduction phenomena. People are taken, there is no marriage, they take what they want, they take the sperm, they take the ovum, they take the child, they do whatever they want to do. And this is the work of the fallen ones. Jesus warns us he'll be like the days of Noah. Mm-hmm. Now, think about this. When he says that 2,000 years ago, everyone in earshot knows exactly what he's talking about. Oh, he means the Nephilim, the days of Noah. Why? Josephus tells us that the bones of the Nephilim were openly on display in Jerusalem at the time of when Jesus was there.
Really?
It's not in the Temple Mount, but it's on the way to the Temple Mount, guaranteed. Guaranteed it's on the way. Conjecture on my part. Is Jesus talking to the disciples and going, it'll be like the days of Noah, and gesturing to the giants that are displayed? Possible. I'm not saying it happened, but it's possible. He had to be somewhere, so why not there? Be like the days of Noah. Everyone knows exactly what Jesus is talking about because there is no Sethite theory. That doesn't come to the 4th century, where this guy, Julius Africanus, just pulls a theological rabbit out of his hat and goes, well, this is what it is. The sons of God have a godly line of Seth, and the women of earth are the hoochie mamas of Cain. Mm-hmm. But hoochie mama's not in the text, and Seth isn't either. Yeah. So what are we looking at? And he rewrites this whole thing. And if you're in seminary, you're taught the Sethite theory. But that wasn't invented to the 4th century. Everyone knows that the Nephilim bones, Josephus talks about it. They had voices and countenance so unlike normal human beings. No one knew what to do with these. And they were on display to show future generations what their forefathers cleared from the land.
Yeah, the New Testament references Enoch, even though it isn't in our scripture. So it was a normal thing for Enochian reference to happen, to your point.
And here's something interesting. You know, and I know that you don't quote something unless it's your wheelhouse,
right?
Unless it's in you. So this is a sort of a glib story. So Jude is Jesus' brother, right? Is it possible? This is total conjecture, folks, but why not, right? This is the way my crazy brain works.
We love it.
But so Jesus is hanging out with Jude and stuff, right? Before his ministry. And maybe he comes in with the scroll of Enoch. He goes, hey, I just got finished reading Enoch, Jude. You might want to look at this. It might serve you in the future. What if he did something like that?
Yeah.
Because Jude knows the book of Enoch. He's quoting it. It's in his wheelhouse. It's part of who he is. You don't quote something, unless it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like think about how many times you have to watch a movie before it becomes something like
exactly.
you reference in relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Quite a few, more than a couple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, culturally just, like memorizing so much of the Old Testament was a part of their upbringing. And so what if that was part of their literature growing up?
I think it was.
Yeah.
And, I get it. The book of Enoch is not canonical, but if you take chapter 6 of the book of Enoch and overlay it on chapter 6 of any Bible, they read word for word, except instead of the sons of God, the angels of heaven. Book of Enoch, the angels of heaven. And that's what the B'nai HaElohim actually translates. It translates angels. That's what it is. So the whole Sethite theory, look, if you were going to keep two things away from up-and-coming seminarians, people who want to be pastors, whatever, and the church at large, you take two things away. You take Genesis 3:15 away, which explains the entire biblical narrative, right? And you take the book of Enoch away, which supports that. Genesis 3:15 is the gateway to the Bible. If we don't understand that and have the proper exegesis of that, the proper interpretation of it, you don't understand that what's going on. Most of the church is completely oblivious to it because they've never studied Genesis 3:15, which says Adam and Eve are over here. They've done the unthinkable. They've sided with the dragon. Their DNA conjecture, their DNA has changed. They've done something, taken something into them. Now they're hiding from the Lord. Why would they do that? They realize they're naked. Why would they all of a sudden realize that they're naked? Why are they ashamed? That's why when Jesus hangs on the cross, there's no loincloth. He's naked. He's completely stripped of everything. He's up there naked. He bore our shame. That's what it's talking about. So Genesis 3:15, the dragon's over here. The instigator, Adam and Eve, are over here. Pre-incarnate Christ is in the garden, and he says this to the dragon, your seed, your offspring, I'll say it again, your seed, your offspring will be at war, at enmity with the seed of the woman, the offspring of the woman, the one coming from the woman, the proto-evangelium, the Messiah, will crush your head, you'll bruise his heel. It's the whole Bible.
Yep.
It's the whole thing. Get that, and when you get to, excuse me, when you get to the flood of Noah 3 chapters later, you understand, oh my God, the seed war, it's here. It's manifesting in ways that only 8 people survive this thing. That's it. Everybody else is destroyed because they've got something corrupt happen to their genome, something. And Ham's wife did not get on the ark with the Nephilim gene. No, it's a second, third, fourth incursion. They keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Why? To contaminate the gene pool so Messiah won't be born, dragon's head won't be crushed, and the rest is history. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens. So when you get to the Tower of Noah's Ark, there's that Genesis 3:15 screaming at you. Tower of Babel, same thing. When you get to Abraham and the 4 kings, 5 kings, same exact thing. Why is this going on? When you finally get to Sodom and Gomorrah, oh, this God of the Old Testament is wrathful and vengeful. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is the Nephilim stronghold. Finally, the conquest of Canaan, and the Lord gave me this about 2 years ago. Think of what's there. You've got the seed war from Genesis 3:15 fully blown, fully manifested. You've got, remember Abraham, we're going to make, so 450 years later, right? Abraham's seed is on the gateway to the promised land.